Great. So my name is Constantinos Coursaris, and my primary area of research is at the intersection is on user experience and explores the interplay between the design of the medium, but also the design of the content on how the user is made to feel during the use of the artifact, be it a website, a mobile app, or an immersive environment, but also how such design considerations and implications can affect the a priori intentions, motivations, desires, expectations from the use of such technologies, and after the use of the technologies, how the individuals left to feel and what they do afterwards, whether they're likely to return, they're likely to recommend, and so on. So in the context of those considerations, or what I would call the life cycle of the user experience, it would be typically is applied in either commercial settings, so digital marketing communications, or health communications, digital health communications. So how can technology be optimized in its design for the maximal use, the maximum value it can afford stakeholders, patients, caregivers, clinicians in the area that it's supposed to serve. So that's my primary area of research. The current project in terms of artificial intelligence and human-centered AI, I'm part of a global team of so-called experts who come from different backgrounds, looking at considerations of technology design. Some of them more focused on the technical aspect, let's say the algorithmic development of the AI systems, agents, and tools. Others more like my background, who are coming more from the user-centered perspective in the design of those artifacts. So the technical versus the more humane, social perspective that comes in to bring a comprehensive and interdisciplinary perspective in coming up with, first of all, defining the space of human-centered AI. What is human-centered AI? Putting forth a grand sort of research program, or articulating the grand challenges associated with human-centered AI, and providing some, aside from definitions and best practices, provide some opportunities for moving the needle in this space by other researchers, providing some actionable guidance and recommended next steps for research. And I'm excited about this space because I think this consortium that we have put together, that is led by Pierre-Majoric and Sylvain on behalf of TechView Lab and HEC Montréal, has brought in a pool of experts that will put this team and all the partner universities, institutions involved on the forefront of this very contemporary discussion, very current discussion, very important discussion. The question that has not been provided insofar responsible AI is actually quite, it begins at the very start, at the core, at the high level, depending how you frame it, which is defining it. Mm-hmm. You ask 10 different people as to what is responsible AI, you're going to get 10 different definitions, conceptualizations, and of course, operationalizations subsequently. So there's the real need to clearly articulate what is encapsulated within responsible AI. Where does it begin? What is it being informed by? And where does it end? What does it inform after it ends? And from my perspective, it's something that needs to be teased out along with other related concepts, such as governance of AI. So in the mainstream media, we may hear people like Elon Musk be strong advocates and be quite concerned about the future of AI and that it needs to be regulated. Otherwise, the power of the machine can come to eventually threaten human well-being. So sort of the Terminator type outlook of technology, where the robots revolt against the humans in a very futuristic future. But in terms of capability, that may not be so far out as we think, because in terms of the processing capabilities of computers today, computing capabilities far exceeds human processing capabilities. Couple that with networking capabilities, and then on top of that, add a layer of autonomous decision making, then all of a sudden it can paint quite a scary picture for people that have that sort of outlook. So responsible AI, of course, relates to the governance AI. And so, but then again, what is the cutoff? Because within governance, we would talk about both operational guidance and governance, but also third-party oversight, unbiased. And so not only from the operator of the technology, but some third party to ensure that the system is built with certain principles in mind. When I say principles, and typically associated with responsible, the word of ethics or the topic of ethics comes in. So yes, as a core component of responsible AI, we would think about ethics, principles such as fairness, equity, unbiased representation or processing of information, transparent processing of that information, explainable processing of that information, and the output that is generated. So within responsible AI, the biggest challenge of the question that needs to be answered is, what is it exactly? What does it encompass? And if I were to take a first stab at it, I would say that it encapsulates principles related to ethics, fairness, equity, transparency, and explainability, both under the hood, how it functions, but also how it communicates to the end user on the front end. So it's understood optimally by the end user. No free time, but if you were to ask me pre-academic life, I would say football is definitely my number one entertainment, followed by basketball and tennis. Yes, in my younger years, I would also play all three sports, primarily football and tennis. I wasn't so good in basketball, but I still enjoyed playing with my friends. But I was on high school teams and recreational teams during university days for football and actually volleyball as well back then. But I stopped following that. So number one would be football on a global level, FIFA, World Cup, and then of course the regional championships with an emphasis on European sort of national and club playing. I'm originally from Greece, so I follow the league in Greece, and of course how the clubs do on international stage as well. That's about it. And then if I were to say, aside from fun stuff, completely unrelated to my work, that would be it. But related to my work, I love reading. I love learning. I love staying current with technology and fidgeting with technology as well, and particularly networking and design applications and coding technologies and programming languages.